Hobbies Fair. Go ahead. No worries. No worries, don't worries. But set up at Hobbies Fair. Yeah, so you can check out my new banner. It debuted at LCF, but actually Lion City Fair. But I actually took it down because it was kind of it wasn't doing so well in the outdoor environment. But indoor, it should be fine. The only thing is that I just realized that Escape Puzzles is kind of blocked. But Puzzles is still out, so it'll be okay. Because I didn't want to put it too close to. They want to put it too close to my neighbor's booth, so we're gonna put it closer on my side. So yeah, I have a little puzzle set up here. So this is my follow campaign. This event. Follow me on Instagram, and you get a chance to try the puzzle and open a lot. Or rather, you can try the puzzle whether or not you follow me. But to open, you should be following me on Instagram. It's the return of the stickers. They didn't do so well at the very role-playing game events, so we see if it goes for the general events. And then Island Papers is kind of in a corner, but my space isn't so great now in terms of like the leveling is kind of off. I'll figure that out next time. And then the usual setup here in front. Yeah, so this is it. I set up in record time. There was a huge line to come in, even for vendor registration, because they made everybody queue up all over again, even if you came to set up last night. And me, who didn't come in to set up last night, I had to come in. I thought I would have the full hour. In the end, by the time I came in, it was closer to maybe I had half an hour, 40 minutes left. So I set up everything in record time, literally like 20 minutes from 0 to here, and then ran for my coffee, which is at the back here, coffee, and then managed to set up here. The back, I should show you the back. I'm really clean this event. The usual setup is there, and then under the table, there we go. So I really set up everything. I mean, I've kind of gotten my setup down to very, very compact. If it's a simple event, like if I'm not debuting anything very new and I don't need to push out any big banners and so on. So yeah, as you can see, I only brought my Thorn Key one. I didn't bring the Island Papers banner. So yeah, here's to a good Hobbies Fair. I hope I'm better at recording this time around. A bit. Yay, my friends! I'll hold the lock for you. Thank you. You can open it. Yes, magnetize. Yeah. Woo. Good morning from Hobbies Day 2. Yesterday was a good day. It was really crowded and I talked a lot. The main thing was that the competition stage, let me show you. Competition stage is like right here behind me, and they had a beatboxing competition yesterday at 5 p.m. And it was a little bit of yelling. I think my voice is gonna hold out today, with fingers crossed. Hopefully, cross fingers. Hopefully, my voice is gonna hold out today. But I'm gonna try to take it as easy as I can, and not. Hopefully, I don't have to yell. Today, there's gonna be a singing competition, not a beatboxing. But I hope it's not gonna be too long. Yesterday, they went on like rounds, like semi-finals, so it was like 1.5 hours worth. Okay, didn't do anything much to my booth. Mostly stayed the same. I topped up some stuff inside here because it was wiped yesterday. And I tried to adjust this a little bit, so I rigged something really ghetto up with name card boxes just to give a platform so that now it's on the same height. So yeah, okay. So hopefully a good show today as well. Yesterday went pretty well. I hope that I get equal, if not more, than today. The main thing I'm worried about is that Wisteria did much better than expected yesterday. And I only have 10 books for today. Yesterday I think I sold about 12 to 15. So yeah, in fact, the last book yesterday of Wisteria, there were 2 groups that wanted it, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I only have 1 left. So one person gave it up to the other and said that he'll come back today to pick up. So I'm gonna put 1 aside just in case he does, and then we'll see what happens for the rest. Yeah, hopefully I get to sell out. The zines went pretty well. The puzzle zines went pretty well yesterday because that's apparently what the Hobbies Fair folks want, like puzzles. They got really excited by this. So we will see. Yeah. So for now, it's actually, the fair has just opened. Theoretically, I'm just gonna have my orange Americano. I've got some buns in my bag to have for breakfast, to eat while waiting for the crowd to come in. Yeah, I'll see you later. And we're done, and then these 2 guys came up to help me, so we are doing a bye-bye to Lasha! Hello, it's the return of the vlog wrap-ups. I know I'm kind of like super behind, maybe half a year or so, but I figured that rather than starting from last year's December videos, I'm just going to start from the most recent events and then work my way backwards if I can, so that I can get recent stuff out of the way. So this is about Hobbies Fair that happened kind of like end of June, which it's July now, end July now. Okay, so end of June, and Hobbies Fair 2026 was as good as I expected it. Last year, 2025, it was my best performing market. And this year, so far, it is also ranked number 1 in terms of kind of like on 2 levels, which is the pure revenue as well as the engagement that I had from there. So I think there are a few factors to this. First of all, the Hobbies Fair crowd is really, really general. A lot of people who come to Hobbies Fair probably have never seen my brand before or heard of me before, so I was new. Not only that, the catalog that I have, the product catalog that I have, is very unusual in Hobbies Fair, in the sense of like, a lot of the booths around me tend to be craft related. So having these game zines is kind of like unusual for people walking by. This fair, actually, I had very, very huge engagement, and I think it's because of 2 things. So first of all, I invested finally in a banner. So for those of you who remember last year's Hobbies Fair, I actually was kind of that was actually one of my troubles. Like, I didn't know how to create something, and I was kind of resistant towards the banner. So I finally decided to just do it, and it was, I think, singularly the best investment that I've made in the brand for boothing. I saw so many people who were interested in what was going on at the booth, but hesitant to come up to my booth because of whatever it is, and they would read the banner, and then I can see them making the decision whether or not they were going to come up to the booth. And because they were already primed for what content that was going to be at the booth, people who actually came up to talk to me were much more ready to engage with whatever I had on the table. And so I think that was great. The second important thing that I think increased engagement was the booth activity that I had. So starting from sometime earlier this year, I started this thing where I would put something at the booth for people to engage with. Be it a writing activity or a puzzle to solve or something like that. And it was tremendously let's just put it this way. Okay, I didn't really do the numbers, like I wasn't really counting, but I think the conversion rate of people who did and solved the puzzle and opened the trinket box into a sale was about 85%, which means 85% of the people who solved that puzzle felt that they wanted to buy something from my booth, and just happened that you solve a puzzle, I have the puzzle zines, and so they went for the puzzle zines mostly. And to me, 85% conversion rate of something like that was great. I had so many fun videos of people, gesturing in the air like, oh my god, oh my god. A lot of people felt that it was just something fun to do. Like at a hobbies fair, you want to be able to try stuff, right? And there were definitely a lot of things to try. There was parkour going on. There was kind of like Nerf guns, a lot of stuff. And so for people to also find something in the aisles, I think that was interesting for them. So yeah, Hobbies Fair did really well, and I think I also got. I was also reminded actually of people who actually recognize the brand. So I had a few people who recognized my brand from actually not any other event, but instead last year's Hobbies Fair, and they came back to say, "Oh, I saw you last year. Do you have anything new?" And so I was reminded that I need to update my product catalog to have something new. In fact, people were hoping for yet another zine to have come up. And I know I've been saying it for events and events that I was going to put something like create a new zine, but it's been just so. I think for the past, I want to say 2 or 3 months, I've been biting off more than I can chew with regards to my plans for Thorn Key, and I have to kind of recalibrate and rebalance myself with regards to what I actually can do or not. And I was really, really struck by this during Lion City Fair, which I haven't put up the vlog for yet, but I will soon. I was really struck by that sort of uh, inability to kind of that decision paralysis on what I actually wanted to do and what I could actually complete in the time that I had. So that's unfortunately a decision I made for myself like 3 months ago, and I'm still feeling the effects right now. And so I'm just kind of like readjusting myself at the moment, reprioritizing, and unfortunately the zine is still not a number one priority because of some other things going on. And I think that's okay. Like it's not going to be a huge problem, but I think by the end of the year, I should get a third issue of the zine up. So yeah. Anyway, again, like I said, Hobbies Fair was great. I think it was a good sort of reminder for myself that people are interested in my brand, that my brand is a recognizable brand. Like there is some sort of brand recognition when it comes to my brand. So I'm looking forward to the next few events. Actually, the rest of the year is still pretty full of events like markets and fairs, as well as kind of like workshops and things like that, which is really interesting. And it's kind of what I have wanted to do, what I was considering doing from early this year, late last year. So it's a good step, a good direction, and I'm hoping that this continues. Yeah. So yeah, so I'm gonna wrap up the Hobbies Fair thing. Sorry, I went and kind of do like a plans for the future concept. But anyway, next event is going to be Table Conquest, which is coming up in 2 weeks' time. And Table Conquest is kind of like a milestone for me where I kind of reflect on what happened the past year, because 2 years ago, Table Conquest was my first ever Thorn Key kind of like launch event. So I will come back. Definitely, I'll have footage for that, and I will come back to you hopefully in less than 6 months. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye.